It's prime time. The brightest lights, the biggest stage. Maybe you're bored with Money in the Bank right now. You're missing Roman Reigns. You're tired from the fireworks. The heat's gotten to you. Well, you're in luck because right now, live on Sportswire Radio, we have a global champion that might have a few chaos conspiracies. And after you were watching Total Domination 9 a few short weeks ago, DBW's latest show, which has already generated nearly 1,000 views, you might be asking, why Corey? Why? Especially if you're this guy named Big Freaking Tex. Well, you know what? I don't see Corey here, but I'm going to have maybe an explanation why. But I'm going to talk about how the landscape has changed. Maybe just changed so much to the point that we might need a spoiler, an explanation. We might need everything else in between to figure out where do we go from here when it comes to Corey Graves and what we're seeing on the screen or what we aren't seeing on the screen. But we're going to talk about him cashing in that number one contenders championship. And why did he do it on a man that considered him to be his protege, his mentor? And the last time we had our guest here, the champion, 7 months ago, we did talk about a lot. And was it foreshadowing things to come? I don't know. Was it maybe something that everybody saw coming and, well, Big effing Tex didn't see it? I don't know. What about the rest of Chaos Conspiracy? What if Jacob Cassidy and Robert Pearson have to say? Who really knows? We might not even know until tonight. But since, after all, this is the only platform where all wrestling matters, and we have a global champion, you can't be all wrestling matters without a global champion. It is time to give the champion that championship-like introduction. And should I call him Corey? Should I call him Silas? Maybe I'll do both because, after all, the last we saw him at Total Domination 9, he was, after all, Corey Graves. But he'll maybe explain that and some, who knows, whatever else. But it's time to give that introduction since, after all, our guest hasn't been here in 7 months. And, well, the landscape, not only in DBW, has changed drastically, but also, obviously, for the man I think I'm supposed to be looking at, but I don't even see him on the screen. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right to it here in prime time, as I stated, in the middle of the weekend, a middle of a heat wave, and that heat wave is obviously all things related to Dominant Breakout Wrestling. So let's get right to it and give maybe that global, like, championship introduction. So we're done! Wait for it! Further ado here on the Sportzwire. Number one. Global Sports Show. The reigning, defending DBW Global Champion. One we referred to previously as Corey Graves. Or maybe you might want to call him after what we're seeing on the screen. Legendary Silas. The champ is here. But, ladies and gentlemen, apparently I've just received word, right even before I'm about to bring the champ on, that we have some footage that we're about to see here that's been never seen before. And for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, where all wrestling matters, I have been instructed to play this video from the champion. So you're about to see a world premiere video, never seen before, and this will be one I can assure you, you might want to sit back and just watch, and this might answer some of those questions that you're waiting for. So, ladies and gentlemen, world premiere video, and let's get right to it.
We gather here today to celebrate the life of a beloved individual, in not only DBW, but in this wrestling community for the last 10 plus years. Today we celebrate the life of Graves. At Total Domination 9, Graves surpassed his own self. He was able to capture the DBW Global Championship and ascend into a new being known as legendary Silas Walker. Now, far be it from me to think that I owe anyone an explanation for my actions at Total Domination 9, but I'll be honest, I can't resist. You see, the plan from the beginning was to show DBW that change is possible. The plan from the beginning was to show DBW and the world that you can't fight change. And now it's here. And now it's upon us. I am the global champion, and I have my tag champs backing me. Tex, I'm talking to you now. I want you to understand something. I truly am sorry. But I did what I had to do. Your failure after failure after failure was going to ruin Chaos Conspiracy, and that's what it came to. I had to take matters into my own hands and take that global championship for myself. You have to understand. You see, a dog that weeps after it kills its brother is no better than a dog that doesn't. My guilt will not admonish me, and my guilt will not purify me. Therefore, I have none. Tex, I'm going to give you one more opportunity to come under my wing and learn things the right way this time. You can learn Silas Walker. Think it over. But don't you be an arrogant son of a bitch, Tex. You know you're better than that. Greed gets us all in the end. You'll be grateful when it gets you.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, never before seen video, and that's really, I mean, a lot in a mouthful there, and I guess the champion might want to be here and give us some reactions, and we literally just saw, I don't know if it was quite a eulogy on behalf of Silas Walker, but maybe did I just watch a eulogy on behalf of Big Tex? And I mean, obviously, congratulations, champion, on winning the DBW Global Championship. But I mean, I guess I might have to ask the question without the word that everybody said in Total Domination 9 at the middle of it is why and why? Why, Silas, why? When it came to what not only we saw at Total Domination 9, but what we just saw in this quote-unquote eulogy video.
Hello, Tom, and thank you for the congratulations, by the way. I'll start with that.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone watching. Hope you're having a wonderful holiday weekend. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Well, quite frankly, I'm going to tell you exactly what I told my boys. I'm going to tell you exactly what I told Robert Pearson and exactly what I told Jacob Cassidy. I didn't have a choice. I did not have a choice. Think back. Tex won a Rumble to fight Judgment for the World Championship at the end of last year, and we were on top of the world, right?
Correct.
And he failed. Maybe that was too tall of a task for him, right? Judgment has toppled many a people, including myself. I wasn't able to get the job done against Judgment.
Hey, there were guys here, even on this platform, that couldn't top him in words.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. And now here's what and then Tex has another opportunity, right? He has an opportunity at the World Extreme Championship against Jackson Snow, right?
A man that brought him into the wrestling world, some would say.
Yes. And he failed.
He did.
Failed.
Miserably.
He had another opportunity with me at his side to claim the DBW Tag Team Championships before Chaos even got them.
Correct.
And you know what he did? He was distracted by Jackson Snow, causing me to get taken over by the Heretics. And I lost. Tex failed. And I saw it going to happen again. He was going to fail against Cyrus. Cyrus is a tough competitor. I fought him before long.
We've had him here multiple times. I mean, there's no question that he's a guy that you look at in his contributions to the sport are, endless. Absolutely.
Yeah, I give him all the props in the world. And to be honest, what I did against him was not personal. He was the champion.
You had a belt to cash in. Sure, you had a belt to cash in. That's how it goes.
But Tex was going to fail. And rather than see that happen again and have Chaos Conspiracy be humiliated in front of everybody, I had to take matters into my own hands. I had to think deep down, do I want to take judgment? Do I want to take that opportunity to take judgment when he has taken down so many in the past? I know he had that penitentiary match, but I could not allow Big Tex to fail again and humiliate Chaos Conspiracy. He had multiple opportunities to win, and he didn't do it. He couldn't do it.
It's funny you said that, because when he was here, guys like Jackson Snow were in the chat. Obviously, Cyrus was here, and a lot of the talk was, okay, this young man who's got relatively only months in this sport. Unlike you're a 10-year plus veteran. I mean, you go back to a long time in the yard, a long time in the underground in different places, and he's gotten shot after shot, and he's fallen short. I mean, we talked about the fact, is he basically wrestling's version of the Buffalo Bills? Just can't win the big one. He just, for whatever reason, comes up short in championship after championship. He had 3 title shots in a span of months, 3 different title shots. We were talking about this when Big Tex was here, and I can't think of a wrestler in that amount of time that not only got 3 title shots and came up short, but 3 different title shots. It's one thing if somebody gets a world title shot, but to get a world title, world extreme, and a global title shot and come up short, I mean, that's, unfortunately, from his vantage point, that's rarefied air. It seems like the Buffalo Bills of, unfortunately, the underground wrestling circuit.
Yeah, and I'm not going to complain about him getting those title shots, because I know how this game works, right? It's not who's the best. It's who has the most momentum, who gets that crowd going, and who they want to see in those opportunities. But he failed. He failed those fans, and he failed everyone that stood behind him, including me, including Chaos Conspiracy. So what I had to do, like I said, was take opportunity into my own hands and take that championship.
Now you could see, obviously, that the veteran Cyrus, I mean, he was doing a veteran's job here, and, he obviously had a strategy in the match, and there's no question that he was wearing down a big man in Big Tex who, hasn't been in many big matches. And, I would seem to me from that vantage point, before we get into some comments, is that, what you've told him in the advice, whatever you've given, champ, it didn't seem to rather help him get over the finish line.
Here's the thing. I stood by his side. I had so many times stood at that ringside, right, and watched him have that opportunity to win and fail. And you know how many times he told me to stay back, and how many times he told me to do it, but he wanted to do it by himself? Look at the times that he fought Jackson Snow. Both of those times weren't me telling him I wanted to stay back. He wanted to do it on his own. He told me and the boys.
Why do you think that was?
You better get the job done.
Why do you think that he didn't want, let's say, Cassidy and Pearson's help, but especially your help after the relationship that it seemed that you and him had? Why do you think that he refused you guys to come out and help him in the World Extreme title match, as an example?
Well, there's 2 outcomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
One is the one I hope is the truth. And that's the Tex had to prove something to himself, that he was able to do it, that he's not just someone being backed by a 10-year vet and tag team champions. But the other thing could be the fact that he thinks he's better than me. He thinks he's better than Chaos. He thinks he can do this on his own. And I sure as hell hope that's not the case, because if that is the case, he has something coming. But like I said in that announcement, I'm giving Tex an opportunity now to come back under my wing, to come back under Silas Walker's wing, to learn how to do things the right way. And I can lead him to gold, whether it be that Extreme Championship, whether it be the Hub City Championship, whether it be the Anarchy Championship. I can lead him to gold if he follows my instructions and does what he's told.
Let me ask you this question, as we're here, obviously, with the news of the world, is Corey Graves is no longer, it's rather Silas Walker. We'll change the banner here shortly in a second. But why do you think then it's been different from, let's say, Pearson and Cassidy, and why they have kind of gotten the message, and whereas Tex is not? What do you think's been different, champ, in terms of why Pearson and Cassidy have been able to get over the hurdle?
Some might say it's opportunity. Some might say it's watching tape. If you watch That same show that Chaos won their championships, I beat Blaze with an inside cradle. I rolled him inside and I pinned him. And that is exactly how Chaos Conspiracy won the tag championships. Maybe they caught the Heretics off guard. Maybe they did watch that tape. Maybe it was something else deep down. But all I know is for a fact they won gold and Tex didn't.
There is a mindset, and tell me your thoughts on this. Obviously, we're seeing here clearly that Big Tex is, obviously struggling here with a veteran in Silas, and I do want to ask you a few thoughts on him in a little while, but is there a mindset? You've been a champion. You've obviously done this for a long time. You've been in this sport for a long time, longer than actually most people that come on this platform, as crazy as that sounds. Is there a mindset, or is there something going in as to why Big Tex hasn't been able to win the big one? Because, I talked about the Buffalo Bills, right? Obviously, for those that are sports fans, the Buffalo Bills famously went to the Super Bowl 4 consecutive times, but lost 4 consecutive times. And there was often a wondering of, well, they got there, but they weren't able to win. Not only win, but they didn't even come close. And, Big Tex now is 0 for 3 in title shots. I mean, he's now really become wrestling's version of the Buffalo Bills. And yeah, well, right. And so, I mean, was there a mindset? Is there something that you think that he's been lacking, that's why he's, been a choke artist?
Tex in the past has mentioned to me this thing about honor, and I can understand that. Honor, fighting with honor, not resorting to certain tactics that one might see as dishonorable or underhanded. And I can totally see that. I haven't done that in my entire DBW career, and I still haven't. But look at Big Tex. He hasn't been able to do it the right way. Look at me. I'm a former DBW World Extreme Champion. I'm a former DBW Anarchy Champion. I'm a former DBW #1 Contenders Champion, and I am the global champion.
You had a great career. I mean, there's no question to have lasted for 10 years and to be able to be in the middle of things. I mean, that speaks volumes, all the credit in the world to you. I'm trying to understand how a guy that's been in this sport, figuratively wrestling for a year, give or take, and he's had 3 different title shots that he had a chance to win. And, he came up short in all of them. And, you just wonder, is there a mindset? Is there just something you're not doing properly? Do you not practice? Do you not watch your opponent's tape? It's just, I'm just curious on that, and obviously we hope that the champion comes right back here with us, and we're watching the match here as Big Tex comes up short, and there we go. We got you back there. That's okay. The match.
Sorry, my bad.
No, so basically what I'm wondering is that you've done this for a long time. You've had a lot of success. You've actually been in this sport longer than a lot of people actually come on here, whether it's all around the world, whether it's pro, underground, backyard. 10 years is a long time, and to have been able to reinvent yourself, all the credit in the world to you. But I'm just wondering, how is it that somebody still can be in these situations and come up short? And I don't know. I'm kind of speechless in a way, because we talked about this when he was here, as I'm sure you're aware of, a few weeks ago. We talked about those things, and he obviously had a few things to say, but is he not studying properly his opponent's footage? Is he going out, maybe not getting enough night's sleep? Is he not hitting the gym that day? Is he not talking to you, or not talking to, Robert Pearson or Jacob Cassidy? Is he not getting to the building early? Is there just something that he hasn't done that is why right now he's empty-handed, and why almost he now has to really make a decision, I would say right now, for the kind of future of his career?
It could be killer instinct that he lacks. There's been times where he's had people taken down and he has not been able to finish them off. And what that
the judgment match, we watched it here and we spoke about that. We spoke about that. He had him, and he let him out of his sights. He had him and let him off the hook.
And maybe that was my fault. Maybe I should have done more at ringside. When I fought Judgment, it was numbers against me.
Right.
Judgment had a manager. Judgment had people backstage that I was worrying about.
Sure.
Judgment had no one when he was fighting Tex. It was just him. And I was ringside for Tex, and he wasn't able to get that done. It could be killer instinct. It could be the fact that he's lazy. It could be the fact that he's not doing the work. Or it could be the fact that he doesn't have the intelligence. Time will tell.
Well, it's interesting you said that because Pearson and Cassidy, they seem like they've put the work in. You see Pearson and Cassidy all over the place. You see what those guys have done to improve themselves. You've seen what those guys have been able to do to advance themselves, to be able to have success. Their 2024 has been a far different year than 2023. And maybe those are things that you see, and maybe they have the work ethic. Maybe they have the drive to want to better themselves. Or is it maybe that Big Tex is still a rookie and he's still kind of learning, and rookies are still on the training wheels, and they still unfortunately have to learn the hard way? What do you think on some of that?
I think it's a combination of all of that. Chaos Conspiracy's been around for a while. They even before DBW, they know their way around the ring.
EBW, they've been in both EBWs. Sure.
Yeah, Tex hasn't done much, if at all, before DBW.
He was just a fan, really. I mean, we heard his story the first time he came here. He was really just a fan. This was not somebody that planned to be out there in the wrestling world. I mean, Pearson and Cassidy, they've wanted to do this. Pearson's talked about his life story here with us. And, he was just a fan, Big Tex. Just some guy trying to play in your world, sir. Your world that you've been in for 10 years. He tried to walk into your basic world that he doesn't have any knowledge of.
And here's the thing. I'll be damned if he's going to kill Chaos Conspiracy, right? And it's just going to go back to that. That's why I did what I had to do. You're watching right here.
I'm watching it. Yes,
I hit him with the belt. And what I did is I told the referee I was cashing in, and I immediately snatched it from him and hit Cyrus. It just comes down to that killer instinct. It's the stuff that Tex lacks. The beautiful elbow. I've been told I have one of the best elbow drops out there. I really like hearing that.
Well, I got to say, what you did off the top rope and even what you did here, I mean, you look good in the ring. I'm still trying to get used to you with short hair. I mean, between you and Chase Wakefield and short haircuts. I mean, obviously this wasn't personal then, basically. You hit Cyrus first, and Cyrus was the champion. And so let me ask you then, if it was Cyrus down, you would have did the same thing still, and Tex was on the outside. Is that what you're telling me right now?
100%. 100%. But Tex still would have seen it as me taking his moment.
You think so?
I've talked to him since then. I haven't. I've talked to Chaos Conspiracy. He's talked to Chaos Conspiracy.
Well, you mentioned that in the video. You had mentioned in the video that they were on the same page with you and you guys were good. But Big Tex, he has a decision to make.
He does. And like I said, I'm really hoping that he's not arrogant, and I'm really hoping that he accepts my offer to take that another opportunity under my wing and to learn again. Maybe it takes training. Maybe I go to some places that have rings and tell Tex to come with me.
Maybe Van Hansen, he and Kid Mike have a ring. Maybe he needs to go spend time there. Well, after all, I see Cassidy and Pearson over there. They were on, an amplified show, a training show. They were there. I mean, they were wrestling, and they're
everywhere.
Yep, I know. I'm aware. I mean, it's
they have 3 sets of belts now. Is it?
Yep.
Yeah. So. It's almost hard to keep track. I love those boys so much.
But it's funny though because last year it was kind of like they were struggling, but now you look at them and is it just because of have you given them some type of advice or insights that they have maybe taken to heart, whereas Tex, I don't know, it hasn't really quite grasped it? Is that something there before I let people talk to you?
Well, at the beginning of 2023, I was not doing well, right? We
spoke a lot about it. You were here at the end of the year. It was not the year that you would hope for compared to previous years, sure.
And I've had losses this year. Don't get me wrong. I'm not undefeated this year, but I've turned it around pretty well, right? I think it likes to. I think things attract that are alike, right? Okay. And with me winning, that just brought the mojo to Chaos Conspiracy. I'd like to take the credit, but I can't take all the credit. Those boys are good. They're damn good.
Oh, absolutely. There you go. That's the thing there. Yeah, too damn good. But no, there's no question that you're the guy with gold right now. You're the guy that's certainly struggled for sure. You've struggled a lot in the last 17, 18 months, whatever it is, but you're back where your career needs to be. You were the guy that some people were saying, what's he doing with Chaos Conspiracy? He's latching on to Big Tex. He's latching on to Robert Pearson and Jacob Cassidy. But yet you're the guy right now that has the gold. You're the guy that's back on top. And Big Tex, we're wondering, why Tex, why you haven't been able to win the big one, rather than why at the time, Corey, why? The big question now in DBW, in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit, is why Tex, why has he failed?
I couldn't tell you.
That's interesting.
I tried. I gave all the answers that I could have. Lacking killer instinct, laziness, idiocy.
I guess we'll have to find out. Let me get to some comments here. I want to say hello to some people. We have our resident bot, Zilla. Zilla just says hi to everyone. And I don't know if you're familiar with Zilla. The running joke is like, who 100%. Is Zilla? And so we're like, who? Maybe Zilla's Big Tex. I don't know. I don't think Big Tex is Zilla, actually. But
I'm in a lot of the chats. Sometimes I don't say a lot. I like to be careful with my words, especially when I don't know a lot of the guys. I just like to absorb.
I understand. No, listen, I understand. Listen, trust me. It's all good.
But I'm very familiar with Zilla.
Yes, we've always had a great relationship, and I'm very happy to have you here. I'll let Zilla actually ask you a nice question, but she should really say it's. I can't edit it, unfortunately. She should say Silas Walker. You've already answered how long you've been wrestling, but do you have a favorite match in your career?
Ooh, that's tough. That's really tough because, man,
Zilla once in a while has some good questions, and I let Zilla.
I think. I'll tell you what. I'm going to put it down to 3. Okay.
Okay. Go for it.
So my match with Judgment has to be up there.
Absolutely.
I think I put up one of the best fights I've ever had in my entire career. Even though I lost and wasn't able to claim that world championship, that's still something I have to do on my bucket list. But I think that's one of my favorite matches. Another one, I had a match with Colin Graves. That was in DBW. That was when we were still outside in the yard. We were still in Hagerstown, though.
Sure.
That match is on my channel if anyone wants to check that out.
How about the one that's the most popular on your channel? Zach Romick, 3,800 plus views. How about that one?
I forget about that match a lot. A funny story about am I wearing the tie-dye? Like,
yeah, I'll put it up in the background because some people, they like that stuff. They like when I put the matches up.
Okay, cool.
You're a football fan. I've kind of stolen it off the Manning cast thing, and people actually they like when I put the matches on the background.
Yes, this match. Okay. So a funny thing about this match, KWA has been a little controversial throughout this community's history.
Join the club. Listen, a lot of things we say on Sportswire are what they are. So trust me, it's just another day in paradise, as my dad would say.
Okay, this belt looks horrible right here. This belt, the night before, I believe, was painted by a drunk man named Dirty DeChico and a good friend of mine, Bryce Van Pelt.
Sounds like somebody I would have knew growing up as a kid in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, a Dyker Heights.
Oh, he's from Long Island, so.
Oh, close enough. Enough.
He's a good friend of mine, a good friend of a lot of ours. But okay. Bryce Van Pelt was the one running this show, and he said, Corey, because I was obviously Corey Graves at the time, he said, Corey, I want you to take that championship from Zach Romick. And I said, Bryce, please don't make this match a title match. I don't want that belt. I don't want to carry it with me. Please don't do this to me. And he did. It was the only time in my life I never wanted a specific championship. But I'll spoil it. I did end up taking it in the end, and I was able to refurbish the belt to its glory of originality. It is a nice shiny silver rather than a matted spray paint gold. I have it. I actually believe it's at my friend's house. We it's a championship.
Why is it at your friend's house? And why don't you have the belt, champ?
Because that belt is retired, right? And we were using it as a championship for our Magic the Gathering tournaments.
Okay, I did play. I wasn't a big. I know this has come up in prior shows. I wasn't really a big Magic player, but I played a few times growing up.
We haven't done that in a while, so
I figured.
I should get some belt hangers on my wall. I'll put the global belt up there. I sent that in to get buffed and shined, so that I'm excited to get that back.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get to a bunch of comments while we're putting the match on the background. Of course, Chase Wakefield was here, and he was here. Was it last week or the week before? I forget. Oh, it was 2 weeks ago. He was here, and everybody's still talking about that. And he said, "I hope he talks about the Dawn's March versus the Prophets of the Netherworld." I could probably put that up on the screen at some point, but he also said it's one of his personal favorite matches with Silas. And Chase Wakefield, who I know is not in DBW, but still everybody talks about Chase Wakefield regardless because he's Chase Wakefield. Chase Wakefield. It doesn't matter like where I go. Every promotion knows Chase Wakefield. So, it's like
he's very popular.
Yeah, actually, I got to be honest. He's like he's another one of these guys that like it doesn't matter where you are, who you wrestle for. They're like, oh yeah, I like Chase. I know him. I like him. So yeah,
very popular.
He was popular.
That dude does a 6 slice bread. Chase
Wakefield.
He's good. That match that he's talking about was the Dawn's March versus the Prophets of the Netherworld.
I think he's mentioned it here in prior shows. Yep.
If you don't know who that is Mr. Judgment and Novin.
Yep.
Which is a menacing tag team. That was a beautiful name.
Well, anytime Judgment's in a tag team, it's in itself is menacing.
Yeah, because you got to worry about him alone. He's like 2 guys alone.
Pretty much.
The thing about that match is I wasn't even in it. I was ringside. You see, a lot of the times in my career, I've played this almost player-coach role. I like that. Brandon and Chase seem to be the prime opportunity for that. I was defending that show. I was defending my World Extreme Championship that show. I unfortunately lost to Scorpion the Assassin. It was
Scorpion the Assassin. I have to say he's become a buddy of mine. He speaks to me regularly off the air. He gives me
he's a great guy, brilliant.
I like him a lot. He actually messaged me, I think, like 2 days ago, and he's always like giving me like a scouting report on like who came on the show. He gives me his thoughts, and he actually has become like almost like I guess another coach. Yeah, speaking of player coaches, he would fit the bill. He's always like giving me insights on things, and I'm like, oh, thank you very much. Yes, a good man.
He's a huge reason for the success of DBW.
Absolutely, yes.
Going forward.
For sure. Yep. I actually spoke to him the other day, and I think he would like to come on Sportzwire. I think he was now saying, well, maybe I should come on. I'm like, well, I mean, you message me every day. I kind of was wondering, is that why you're messaging me? But no, actually, he's a great guy. He talks to me a lot about almost all the guests and his experiences, and we'll see that there. But let me ask you one question: is it almost like something? And it goes into where we are now currently. Is it always just been something that comes natural to be this leader type guy? Because obviously you've led Pearson and Cassidy now to some success. They're doing some great things. And you had attempted to try to help Big Tex, and it obviously hasn't worked out so far. Big Tex still has a decision to make, and I'm sure he'll have something to say shortly on that. But has that come naturally to you, Champ, always that you become a leader?
A lot of the times throughout my career, I have been involved in one group or another. Most recently, other than Chaos Conspiracy, the Dawn's March.
Yes.
I don't know if you could say we necessarily had a leader, but I think the one that took that role in the eyes of the fans was Chase Wakefield, at the time, Adam Anderson.
Yes.
Some other groups that I've been in the past, in a long time ago, the leader was a man named Jason Walker. Hence, little bit of an homage with my name.
I see.
But I believe I'm at the point in my career, I'm at the point in my life where I have enough intelligence, I have enough experience, I have enough killer instinct to take that leadership role and lead people to win championships like Chaos Conspiracy and show them that I can do it myself.
And I would also think that you would be using that killer instinct or experience to help you guys stay on top because, it's always easy to be a champion. Sure, it's great, but you obviously want to stay on top. So you'd obviously be wanting to use your experience and, again, your killer instinct to not only help yourself stay on top as global champion, but obviously Pearson and Cassidy in a very, very deep tag team division in DBW. I say it all the time. I think pound for pound, DBW has the best tag team division of anywhere. I mean, you want to talk about even independence. DBW's tag team division, it's just better than almost anybody's. I mean, you're talking about the Prodigies. You're talking about, obviously, Chaos Conspiracy with the championships. I mean, you're talking about the Heretics. They held the titles. You got Ego still around. You got the Stompers. I mean, the Stompers have, I think, maybe even just as many, if not more, belts than Chaos Conspiracy. You got Kid Mike and Van Hansen. They're in DBW now. I mean, you got, like, some really, really, almost to steal you guys' quote, damn good tag team. So I would think that you're going to be using your killer instinct and your leadership to not only help yourself stay on top, but Robert Pearson and Jacob Cassidy.
That's what I'm going to try to do. And like you just said, anyone can get it. Well, almost anyone. Tex can. Anyone can get it.
Good point.
The hard part is keeping it. Chaos Conspiracy's kept it for a bit. They've already had success. But now we're going to show the world that not only them, but me, I'm going to hold that belt for as long as it takes. I'm going to be the best global champion of all time. I'm already the longest reigning world extreme champion. No one wants to be the long reigning number one contender champion. Let's forget about that. The championship is my belt. The global division is my division. And I will be damned if anyone is going to take it from me.
For sure, no question about that. We are here now at the DBW Global Champion. He is now Silas Walker. He has definitely made a legendary return to Sportswire Radio. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. If you want to follow Silas Walker and DBW, there's a couple of great ways to do so. First of all, if you want to watch Total Domination 9, Dominating Breakout Wrestling, also check them out on Facebook at Dominant Breakout Wrestling. They have a bonfire store. I'm going to put that up shortly in a few minutes. Also, if you want to follow Silas, he's on Instagram, he's on X, and he's on YouTube. We're watching, and he's almost at 800 subscribers. So go hit that sub button for him. I just gave him a sub on the both PWF YouTube pages, so make sure you go out there and support him. He's only like 9 subscribers away, so go out there and hit that sub button for him. If he gets to 1,000 subscribers, I'm sure he'll put some more footage up there. So go out and support him. So we'll have a bunch of comments. I got a lot more comments, and I've got to get to some people. Yes, he's not Graves anymore. Thank you for telling us, Casey James. Nice to see you, my friend. Yes, he's not Graves anymore. He's now Silas Walker, but thank you. Want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Hillbilly Tilly, of course, the general manager for the Alliance Wrestling League in beautiful Gadsden, Alabama. They had their show last weekend called Endgame, and again, another company kind of like DBW has a slew of different stars from different places. They all kind of mesh in, and he says hello, and he's also one of these guys that likes to scout all of my shows, and he'll tell me what I'm doing, and a lot of times what I'm not doing, because there's a lot of things I should be doing better. But Hillbilly Tilly is one of our favorites here, and I'd like to say hello to him.
I've seen him in the chats before.
Yes, he's a great guy, really great guy. Like you, veteran yarder, has transitioned to more of a front office guy with the Alliance Wrestling League, again, an up-and-coming company. They're working with the Spartan Wrestling out there, an indie company in Alabama, molding their talents. A lot of great guys. My buddy, Mr. John Trucker, who's again like the world. He's gonna hold the record for like hours that he streams on video games and on YouTube. He's got Madden. He does Fortnite, a whole bunch of other things. And he says, watching fireworks right now. Hope you have a great show. And yes, definitely hit the sub. But hit the sub button for Silas Walker, because I said why. He's almost at 800 subscribers. So John, if you're out there, and everybody else, hit the sub button for Silas Walker at Silas Walker. You check him out. He's actually at Legendary Silas Walker. And so if you want to hit him up on YouTube, Legendary Silas Walker, to hit the sub button and watch more matches like this. Let me get to some further comments. I think there's going to be ones that you're going to want to see up around your way. Zilla, yes, congratulations. But speaking of people I have to bring up here, it's the man we spoke about a lot tonight, Mr. Big Tex. And apparently he's got something to say, and I'm not quite sure how you're going to feel about it, but I'm going to read off his comment. Just remember who helped you find the killer instinct for the I Quit match, because if it wasn't for me, you would have stayed on the losing streak. Now, that doesn't sound like somebody that's going to be coming over to your side anytime soon. Maybe we'll have to find out, but what is your reactions to that comment there, champ?
Okay. I'll give it to Tex. He did help me in my match against Taft. It was an I Quit match, and that was the first win that I had not only in 2023, but I think throughout probably towards the end of 2022 as well. That was a tough period of time for me.
We talked about it when you I think I had you literally right before 2023 ended, so I remember that very well.
That was a very tough period of time for me. One of my best matches. That I wouldn't put that in my top 3 in that list, but that's up there. I really enjoyed looking back on that match.
Okay.
Tex did help me. He came in. Obviously, those matches are no disqualification, and he flattened Taft a few times. Made him quit.
I remember.
And
he left. He's not in DBW anymore.
Yeah, he quit. I mean, he had one more match after that against.
Yeah, he was here for a little while longer. We spoke about it a little bit on Tuesday's show, but go ahead.
And Tex, that day, you want to know what Tex did?
You tell me.
He looked me in the eyes in that ring after that match, and he put his hat on my head.
Yes, I remember. That I remember. Yes, I do. Yes.
That meant the world to me. And that was one of the happiest moments that I've had in my life.
Wow.
But now looking back on it, that was the peak. That was the peak. From that point on to right before Tex lost to Judgment, that was our plateau.
Merry Mayhem. Yep. Merry Mayhem. Yep.
And I still view him as my brother. But what a brother has to do is let his brother know when he's doing something wrong.
And this doesn't seem like a brotherly-like comment there. This seems like somebody that, you asked him for something as a reminder, and it didn't seem like that Big Tex is coming over to your side, at least from this comment. I mean, obviously there's still time, I would think, but, it doesn't seem to me like that's what you were looking for tonight.
I hope he smartens up because I don't want to snap on this man. I don't. I really don't. I did what I had to do in that cash-in, but I don't want to have to take it further than that. I have some good memories with Tex. I have some good memories with Chaos Conspiracy. A lot of memories behind the curtain that no one will ever see.
Sure.
I view all of them as brothers. I don't.
Well, you said this wasn't personal. You said tonight this was not personal.
It wasn't. Tex has a choice to make. He does. Change is constantly happening. In my mind, the definition of chaos is rapid change. And Tex can make that choice to change his mindset and to change his instinct and to come under my wing. And if he doesn't, he's going to be left in the dust.
And to quote Queen, it could be another one bites the dust. We'll see if Big Tex will be biting the dust, but something tells me he's going to have a few more things to say. Chase Wakefield had recorded this match that we just watched. Thank you very much for that.
One was Zach Romick, yeah.
Yes, that's what he was referring to, Mr. Wakefield. And let me say hello to Casey James. I owe a giant chunk of my success to Scorpion the Assassin. I absolutely... Scorpion's a great man. I can tell you, he talks to me very regularly. Just a good dude, and I enjoy his conversations. He'll message me, and I always look forward to those. Hands down, such an amazing talent. I've seen the growth and been lucky enough to share the ring with Mr. Walker. Congratulations, sir. I'm super excited to see the future. Now, that sounds like what Big Tech should have been saying to you, right? Big Tech should have been saying those things, but he hasn't been saying those things. But he's got a response. I'm going to come back to that, though, in a second. Scorpion's such a great guy and friend. One of these days, me and him needs to have that one-on-one. Well, that's a good question, and maybe we'll figure that out sooner rather than later. But apparently, Chase Wakefield has to go to Uganda first. But
I was talking to him about that. That is something.
That's wild, right? I mean, that's wild, right? It reminds me of one of those movies, like Anaconda, Congo. Are we sure like he's becoming an actor rather than a wrestler? I mean, how he pulled that off, I still don't know.
You guys are crazy. He better be careful. They're going to put him down.
Well, he's Chase Wakefield. I mean, if there's anybody that could pull this off, it's Chase Wakefield. Anybody else, I'm not sure. But Chase Wakefield could probably cure cancer at this point. He might be the one guy that could figure it out. He seems like he knows everybody. He seems to want to go everywhere. And I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm sure maybe he'll like to talk about it here. But Mr. Big...
Old moniker, Unkillable. His old moniker used to be the Unkillable Adam Anderson, and that... I think that's pretty fitting. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Listen, Chase Wakefield. Anybody can say anything they want, especially when it comes to Chase Wakefield. I suppose then you're telling me then Chase Wakefield's like a cockroach. He just won't go away. He'll never go away. He'll continue to just he'll find a way to expand, and that's what he does. Well, we'll move on. I have something from Mr. Big Tex I want to get to. Yes, and Zilla, but. If Silas Walker is the way forward, then maybe I need to follow. So It's a maybe, though. He says maybe. What do you think about that maybe? He says maybe now. He's giving it some thought. He's obviously heard you out. I'm sure.
Don't hurt yourself thinking. But that's good. I'm glad you're considering it. Like I said, you can take as much time as you need. We have a bit until the next set of DBW shows, so you get back to me with your answer. It doesn't have to be tonight. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. You let me know, and you understand that if you make the wrong choice, you're going to become an enemy.
But is that maybe, though? Would you be okay with that right now? Were you expecting him to say definitely yes, I'm joining, or how do you still feel? No,
because I have to put myself in his position. What would I have done if I were him and he was me? Right.
Good question.
There's a lot of differences in that. I would have thought a lot more. I probably would have been able to get the job done at least once.
But you're a 10-year veteran, though. You'd obviously have a different skill set and a different, way of advantage.
I can understand why he's upset. And like I said, Tex, I truly am sorry that it had to be this way, but it had to. It couldn't be any other way. You can't change what's done. You can only move on.
Yeah, you know what? That's a line I do believe in. You can't change the past. You can only go forward. There's nothing you can do but go forward. Do you have any regrets on how this whole situation went? Was this something that you have any regrets in how things have played out?
No, not at all. I feel better than I have in a long time. I'm going to tell you something.
Tell me.
It was right around the time that I was preparing to fight Judgment.
Okay.
That world championship. That was my first world championship one-on-one match in the history of DBW. I have never gotten a shot before that. I've had penitentiary match chances. I've gotten screwed over in those. But this was my first shot one-on-one. And that crushed me. It wasn't the 3 count. It wasn't Judgment celebrating while I lay there in pain. What it was me sitting there, packing my bag, while we were tearing down, while everyone was getting their stuff taken care of. I was thinking to myself, this is it. This is my plateau. This is as far as it goes. And it was that day that I had the idea to go to some young people in DBW. That first person I went to was Big Tex. I was the first person to see potential in Big Tex. You can ask me, you can ask him, you can ask most of the DBW locker room. They know this. But maybe that potential fell flat. Maybe I was wrong. I'm man enough to admit that. And that plan, it came to fruition. Chaos, they joined us, and rapid change started to happen. We eliminated some vermin in the company. We were able to claim gold, not only them, but myself twice. And it's just Tex that's failed. It's just
you guys have some significant championships right now. You think about the global championship, the tag team championships, and you had the number 1 contenders title, and you obviously, used it to your advantage, and you win for an opportunity. Yeah, that's a big deal. Right now, find me a group that has 3 belts, period, anywhere. It's very hard to do, and you guys have a lot of momentum, and you have a lot of things going for you. And if you have some chances, you should go out and buy some merchandise. Go out and buy some DBW merchandise, because if you want to go out there and support people, well, Big Tex, maybe not buy the Big Tex shirt just yet, but if you want to buy some
those Chaos shirts, so those are sick.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say get the black design. Black is always good. I'm always a fan of the black design. There might be one in the heat might want to wear a lighter color shirt, but if you want to buy some merchandise, that certainly supports. It goes a long way to help the companies. Obviously, that's the way that it helps them in terms of these things. And it's it's not easy to go out there and put these rings up and put these shows together. So it helps everybody, and that's how you support the wrestlers. All these guys go out there and do a great job. They put their blood, sweat, and tears out there. So go out there and wear a shirt. Go out there and support the cause. That's one merchandise shirt you can buy. There's so many other great shirts from DBW. Their Bonfire store. It's bonfire.com/store/dominant -breakout -wrestling. There's a slew of great shirts you want to buy. Want to buy the DBW logo? I own the classic DBW logo. If you want that, you can check that out. You got other shirts from basically a who's who of superstars. You want to go out there and just get it. Just do it. Whatever you can. And DBW, we have a lot more coverage ahead with them. We are here with the global champion. Now, Silas Walker. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. We're now also on the Promo Wrestling Federation YouTube page and the Pride Wrestling Federation YouTube page. So thank you so much, everybody here, for tuning in. Okay, so let me ask you a couple of things. Let's go to some general things first. So you've got the global championship. What is your goals now as champion? Let's go with that first.
Keep the belt. Help
Good
my
answer.
boys keep their belt.
Good answer. Okay.
I can put it in simplest terms as that, but show DBW that I am the man. Judgment might have the world championship, and that should be the number one goal to get that. But I'm going to have people realize that global division is dangerous. That global division is legendary.
Well, the global division, in a way, it's almost kind of like your workhorse belt. It's almost kind of like your measuring stick title. I mean, listen.
This is the number 2 championship in DBW.
Correct.
The number 2 singles championship. I would put the tag belts on par with the world.
Well, we've said it here, and I say it a lot. There's one thing that I am very consistent with, that DBW, I think, pound for pound, has maybe the best tag team division of any company anywhere that I cover on this platform. Listen, the Prodigies work for my friend Jimmy Controversy. Jimmy Controversy, he raves about the Prodigy. The Stompers, they're everywhere, literally up and down the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Obviously, the Heretics did a fantastic job. You got Chaos Conspiracy, have multiple belts. Ego, we know their history. You have some really, again, to steal the phrase, damn good tag teams. Like I continue to say, this is pound for pound, I think, the best tag team division of any place I cover. So there's no question that the tag division certainly stands out itself alone.
Yeah, that's something maybe way down the road that I would love to endeavor in, is tag team wrestling. It's something I've never done. So maybe
it's funny. I was
ever able to take this from me, which we'll see if that ever happens. Maybe at that point I'll consider joining the tag division.
Well, it's funny you said that about making the adjustment. We had on one half of the XCW Tag Team Champions. It was Brogan O'Shea, and he's like you, always been a singles guy, and he just won the titles there with Fletch. And I was asking him, well, how have you made this adjustment? And he said, well, it's hard. I'm not really a tag guy, but you kind of learn, you get into it. It's fun, and obviously you have gold, and those were a big part of those things. Okay, but let me ask you though. Again, I agree with you on keeping the title. Obviously, you guys want to grow and do different things. But before I get to Big Time, he has an interesting question that I want to get your thoughts on. It's rather an interesting question he poses maybe to everybody. But Cyrus was the one that had this championship. You cashed in on Cyrus technically as well, and he was the one that lost the title. Now, obviously, he's a man you know very well. He's a man that basically, was planning to keep this title for chapter after chapter and, have it go on for years. And yet he is now without the title. And what do you think then is the future of you and Cyrus, let's say, and what do you think he's going to have to say about everything that unfolded where he lost that championship to you after you cashed in that number 1 contenders championship at Total Domination 9?
Maybe at some point he'll want revenge, but I'd like to think that he's intelligent enough to understand that he would have done the exact same thing and felt no remorse, which is the case. And Cyrus is a great competitor.
Absolutely.
I believe he will have no problem falling into place in any of those other divisions. But that global championship is mine.
So you think that
fight one of the other champions. I respect Cyrus. I do. I really do. When we're in the locker room, where our bags are usually pretty close to one another, I talk to him a lot when we're back there. And
you're one of the more veteran guys in the company. Obviously guys like Scorpion, obviously guys like Judgment, Cyrus, those are obviously guys that have been in the locker room and they've been in the sport the longest. But, you're right up there. You're probably, right up there with an Aaron Jones in terms of overall experience. So there's no question that, you're a guy that probably, talks to Cyrus a lot, off the record, but, as a competitor that he ain't going to let this slide.
Oh, I can totally understand that. Whether it be at the next show or the next one or the next one or the next one. Understand something. I will be ready. I was born ready. I was born as the global champion. And I don't plan on doing anything other than dying as the global champion.
So basically, then you're telling me that he should just, as you just stated a few minutes ago, find another championship belt to go after.
Don't waste his time. I respect him enough to tell him and give him the courtesy to say not to waste his time.
Okay, it's fair. I don't know, knowing Cyrus, how he'll react to that, but, you were up front, and I think you've obviously given him that courtesy. But Mr. Tex has an interesting question, which I wanted to bring up, and I want to get your thoughts on it for the overall public. I myself question what's next after my global title match. What is next? You kind of basically told him what's next, right? Obviously, to join you and follow and, get in line, basically. And you can maybe help turn his career around after Big Tex has been now known as wrestling's version of the Buffalo Bills and basically a modern-day choke artist, basically. That's what I think you said tonight.
If you join me, Tex, I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm a very convincing person. I can talk people into doing things very well.
Are you sure you're like a motivational speaker? Are you sure you're not one of these life coaches? I have a
2-year degree in human psychology and sociology. I don't know if that plays anything with it.
I took law, so I took law in school, which is obviously probably I should. Yeah. But as you could see, I didn't go that route. But that's a different story for a different time. But I didn't even. It just didn't occur to me. I had a situation at home. My father got sick, and my parents needed help, and I wound up working. And I never went that. But that's why I'm here speaking to you. But that's why it comes back to my point is that maybe Big Tex should really just again go back to the question that he's asking himself. He knows the answer. And that's just to join you, basically, and join the people that haven't turned on him. And after what we saw tonight in the footage, Robert Pearson and Jacob Cassidy helped him up. Nobody's turning Big Tex away. Nobody's turning him away.
No. I was in the moment. I had won that championship after I pinned Tex. You've never felt that, Tom Bryce. I know you have it. That's not you're not a wrestler.
Obviously not. No. Thank you for telling me.
I wanted to go back there. I wanted to hug everyone. I wanted to take pictures. I know my boys would talk to me later. I was ecstatic. I was so happy.
Mm-hmm.
Tex got the help from his other brothers, and I am willing to let bygones be bygones and take him under my wing again. And if I do, and if he takes that, then we're going to get him another title match. I'm going to try my damnedest to get him another title match.
What do you say, though, conversely, in the last 7 months since you were here? Tex has been here a couple times. Had a lot of guys in DBW come on here periodically, and a lot of guys in DBW, even guys outside of DBW in the underground wrestling circuit who just come on here, we're kind of saying, well, Big Tex, he's going to turn on you. Corey's going to turn on you. Now you're Silas, and you obviously were latching on to Big Tex. Big Tex was this young guy getting into these matches, getting into matches of a lifetime with Judgment, Jackson Snow, gets into a match with Cyrus, and, he's got this larger-than-life personality. He's an underdog. There's something about him, and, you were looking, obviously, to get back on track. You were obviously looking to find your way back on top. You were looking to find your way with gold again, and what do you say, though, to people that have said, well, Big Tex, this was going to happen. It was only a matter of time, and you should just go your own way, make your own trail, and eventually you'll win the big one. What do you say to those people that have said that a lot, and the footsteps, I'm sure Big Tex has heard those? What do you say to those things?
It wasn't my plan from the beginning. It really, truly wasn't. My plan from the beginning was very apparent to all three of them. To claim championship gold, to get to that promised land, to get to paradise. And three of us got there. Maybe one of us was at the expense of another. But I believe that I have the knowledge and the tutelage to get him gold. But only with my help. I don't think he can get it done by himself. There's no way he'll get it done by himself.
Oh, he has. Well, but I think that's a point I would, objectively speaking, champ, I would agree 1,000% with you on, because you can't. Because honestly, he's come up short already 3 times.
Yeah.
He was here right before Total Domination 9, and he said, "Talk to me afterwards. Talk to me about what happens." And we talked about the fact. Jackson Snow was talking about it here. Cyrus came in the chat, so there's no question that it was obviously something that the chatter was here. What happens? What if Big Tex falls short again? Big Tex, listen, we saw it with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes had to finish the story. He finally did it. Okay. But Big Tex, we've talked about it all throughout the hour here tonight. He's had 3 different title shots that he came up short in. It doesn't matter how in the record books. He came up short. He came up short. And that's something he's got to live with right now. He's got to go sit there and look in the mirror and say, you know what? I came up short with Judgment for the world title. I came up short for the World Extreme title against Jackson Snow. And I came up short against Cyrus for the Global Championship. He's the one that's got to deal with this. And I think that obviously what I've learned is that this at the end of the day, people were talking about this here for months, and maybe it was all avoidable, and as you say, that this wasn't really planned and that there was no turning on him. Pearson and Cassidy, you've talked about, they're with you. It was a matter of there was a situation, you're a competitor, and you got back on top, and Big Tex was there, unfortunately, in this moment, but people were kind of like questioning Big Tex's ability to win matches.
I don't blame them. I've been questioning it too. And here's the thing. With Tex, he can get it done. He can get it done with me. I know it. I know for a fact he can. I have all that it takes to have him get it done. But if he loses again, it's not going to be a good time for him because he's out. And once you're out, you're an enemy.
Well, I just don't know how. Listen, I talked about this when he was here. We're here with the DBW Global Champion. Now, the legendary Silas Walker. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively in all wrestling matters. If you want to follow DBW, YouTube, Dominating Breakout Wrestling, you can watch Total Domination. And also, Thursday Night Thunder Punch is coming soon. Check out the DBW Facebook page for more details. I spoke about this when Tex was here, champ. And I spoke about the fact is there's no telling how many times you're going to get more title shots. Think about it. He gets the one shot at Merry Mayhem. He gets the one shot in April against Jackson Snow. He gets the shot here a few weeks ago with Total Domination 9. You can't keep getting title matches and come up short. You can't keep expecting to get title matches when you don't win them. What's next? A Hub City Championship, an Anarchy title shot? Judgment ain't giving him another title shot. We know that situation where that's going. We know that's going into a whole different ballgame. Jackson Snow, he don't want no smoke with Jackson Snow. So, you, me both. And I speak to the guy off the air regularly. I don't want to get on his bad side. But the point is that there's nowhere for him to go. He's a man basically without an island if he doesn't follow your lead. Because really, realistically speaking, there really is no title shots for him right now. He's almost out of luck. It's like, again, going back to the analogy of the Buffalo Bills. How many more times can you keep going back to the Super Bowl and expect to win? By the time they got to the 3rd and the 4th Super Bowl, it was like, okay, nobody believed them. Exactly. Nobody believed they could win. By the time that next season rolled around, there was all of that basically that they went through, all that mental basically stress, that frustration. You talk about having a degree in psychology. There's no question that all of that played in their heads. They couldn't get back. There wasn't. The San Francisco 49ers have been to 2 NFC championship games and have lost 2 Super Bowls in 5 years. Despite all the talent that they have, despite being maybe pound for pound the best team in the NFL, they're going to have to start the season dealing with the fact that they've lost 2 Super Bowls to the Kansas City Chiefs and they lost 2 NFC championship games. You have to deal with that in order for you to figure out, can I go back and finally win the big one? Big Tex has lost 3 different titles that he could have won. There really is nowhere for him to go at this point but to go with you guys.
That's the thing. Whenever there's not a championship on the line, he can get it done without a shadow of a doubt. You put him against almost anyone on that roster, and there's not a belt on the line.
Yeah, he won that Rumble. He was very impressive. I agree with you. Very impressive. But you know what?
The pressure. I think it truly is the pressure and what it gets to him. It gets to him. And Tex has a choice. I gave him the choice, and that choice is going to have two outcomes. We can close the book, and that's the end of Tex's story, or we can write a sequel, and he can come under my wing.
You know, and comeback stories are a big deal. You know, obviously, my guest last Sunday, Julian Voigt Jacobs, kind of like was you. Kind of your situation, had struggled a lot in 2023, had struggled going into basically the first half of this year. All of a sudden gets an opportunity, kind of like you, wins a number one contenders match, becomes a world champion. He goes into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Stay tuned for the end of the show. I might ask you that next question. But the point is that he turned his story around, kind of like you. Your 2023 was what it was. You had the one win against T3, no question, big victory. But the rest of that 2023 wasn't what it was. 2024 kind of started rocky. You know, it was kind of middling. But you obviously get that number one contenders championship. And here you are. You're back on top. You've had a comeback. You're one of these comeback wrestler of the year candidates. Big Tex, I mean, he's going to have no choice but to figure out how to get back on top. He's going to have to figure out how to be able to make that comeback because, as a matter of fact, sure, we could talk about him getting back on top, but he's never been on top. So the only place he can go is go up from the – he's on the bottom right now. Big Tex, he's on the bottom. He's got no choice but to go up.
Yep. He's just got to take that first step. That's what it took for me. I think you have to get over that first hurdle. The first step is the hardest. As soon as he gets that done, I think he'll be able to. As soon as he gets that first bit of confidence back with me, I think he'll be able to.
Oh, you know, we're going to have to find out. When I say hello to people that are usually regulars here, that is Craven Rage. Craven Rage, the backyard nightmare and the ruler of the yard, says hello, champ. Hello, Mr. Tom Bryce. Hello, good to see you, sir. But Big Tex has something to say. We will talk at the next Thunder Punch. So what do you think about that, champ? What do you think?
I look forward to it. I'll leave it at that.
So you're okay with him right now telling you that we're going to talk at Thunder Punch. And then by then, you're hoping for his sake that he makes the right decision.
Yeah. And I would like to believe that even him, has the capacity to learn enough at this point to know what the right decision is.
Let me ask you, though, this question. Taking the other side for a second. If Big Tex doesn't make the right decision from your lens, can Big Tex be able to have a place in DBW, realistically speaking?
Well, once you make an enemy of myself and Chaos Conspiracy, you're probably not going to be in very much luck for too long. So don't make an enemy, Tex. I'm not going to say we'll kick you out. I don't have the power to do that. But physically, we might.
But DBW is a big company with a big roster, and if you don't have any friends, Big Tex has friends right now, and if he obviously decides he doesn't want to go the same direction as his friends, well, then realistically, there is really no going forward for him in DBW to have any meaningful success. I mean, maybe he can go to DBW shows and watch as a fan. He can go back to being a fan again. Obviously, he'll be a guy who said, I competed. I had a few title shots.
Maybe
I failed. What's that?
Maybe a referee.
Maybe help set up. There's nothing wrong with that. Listen, there's nothing wrong about playing different roles in the wrestling world. There is nothing wrong with that.
But you need to understand when it's time to step down. And if you don't make the right decision and you prove that you're going to fail again, I think it's time that Tex steps down. Time will tell.
Time is going to definitely tell. There's no question about that. If you want to follow DBW, I actually want to put up some links here before we get to some other things here. Actually, we're at the DBW YouTube page here, and check them out. They're actually closing on 3,750 subscribers on YouTube. They've got just about 1 million views. James Wakefield was talking a lot about that when he was on the show about a week and a half ago. And if you want to check them out, it's a big deal. To get almost 1 million views, that's a big deal. And want to help them get some more views, hit the sub button for them. In fact, I've given them 3 3 subs, not 1, not 2, but 3 subs, because I own 3 different YouTube pages. But check them out because they're going to have some great shows coming up. And so let me ask you then, as we get into the last parts of the show, and we obviously look to the future. Obviously, we have Thursday Night Thunder Punch. You can check that again. DBW's Facebook page really for more details. You can check that out. But we're going into Ultimate Collision. That's going to be coming out here in the coming weeks. Obviously, that road starts with Thursday Night Thunder Punch. So what's your immediate future that you look forward to then in terms of who do you think, or is there any ideas of people? Silas, you addressed already, but in terms of this title, going into Ultimate Collision, who do you think may potentially look forward to challenging you here, starting with Thursday Night Thunder Punches?
I have some dream opponents, and this is a crossover show with VTW.
Absolutely.
With VTW, they've been around for a long time.
They got a big following, no question about it. They were just in my show yesterday with Atomic Titan. We were actually, the TBW guys were speaking with them a little bit. It was a very productive conversation.
And they have some of the best talent that I have ever seen. And I would be honored to fight any of them. But that being said, don't you dare disrespect me in my company. If you're going to step through that threshold and challenge me, you better be ready. And if no one wants any smoke, then I'll take the month off. I'd say I earned it.
A month off? Wow. That's rather interesting.
Well,
a month
event. There's Thunder Punch. There's always Thunder Punch.
Sure. But, you mentioned VTW. I mean, Zach Daniels is the new champion. I mean, obviously, you're a global champion. Yeah, I'm sure that was a shocker, I have to say. We were talking about that here on Sportzwire. I think it was yesterday. We were talking about that, on the show and such. And, but you're a global champion. That could be interesting. Interesting. I mean, there's a lot of great talents that you'd want to see, but so maybe from what you're telling me, you could even be facing somebody from VTW that might want to challenge your championship. That's kind of an interesting idea, no?
Yeah. At that show, anything can happen. We could have championships on the line from either side. We could have anything.
The YouTube championship. You could challenge the YouTube title. How about that?
Hey, I would gladly take an opportunity to be dual champion any day.
What career turnaround that would be for you? I had you here 7 months ago, right? We were talking about, how to get back on track and, trying to find success. And, you're with Chaos Conspiracy. I talked to you about kind of using your experience to help guide these guys. But all of a sudden, if there's an opportunity for you to be a dual champion, I mean, what a comeback story that is. I mean, People always listen, no matter what side of the coin you fall on, people love comebacks, not just in wrestling, but in life, period. I remember going back as a kid, John Travolta makes Pulp Fiction. All of a sudden, John Travolta, his career was dead. I studied drama for 3 years, and I remember John Travolta made Pulp Fiction. All of a sudden, he was bigger than when he made the movie Saturday Night Fever, which was shot about 5 blocks from my house when I grew up as a kid. My mother talked about it all the time. I remember as a little kid, the hardware store was right 5 blocks from my house. But that's a different kind of thing. But the point is that people love comeback stories, and you might write maybe the greatest one in 2024. If all of a sudden you could walk away from Ultimate Collision as a dual champion, how about that?
How about it?
I don't know.
Friend of mine. How about it?
Those
of you that understand that, yeah, okay. So I would gladly take the opportunity to do anything like that. DBW is a huge place, and there's only so much room on a card like that. And like I said, I have tired myself out with all of this drama, with all of these physical activities, with everything. So you never know. If no one wants to take up the chance and no one wants to prove that they have the guts to fight me in my division, in my company, in my ring, then don't.
Well, you know what? If you do want to, for whatever reason, and you want to follow this man, he is on Instagram as well, and I would certainly hope that you check him out. That's all his information. You can see all the different footage that this man has put together. Make sure you go follow him. We've got about 15 or so minutes with the champion. He's a very busy man right now. He's obviously looking forward to seeing what Big Tex decides to do in his future. He's obviously looking forward to joining up with his brethren in Chaos Conspiracy, Robert Pearson and Jacob Cassidy. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, from all wrestling matters. Let me ask you a couple of questions. I never asked you or anybody in the group this question. Do you perceive yourself to be the leader of Chaos Conspiracy?
Without disrespecting my other two boys, I would like to hope that they view me as that. I'm not going to claim any titles. I'm not going to label anything. But when we walk out, I come out the middle. Let's put it as that.
What are your goals for the rest of the year?
Hang on to my championship. Prove that I am who I say I am. To not only the DBW universe, but this All Wrestling Matters community that we have. And I've been talking to a few people. One person specifically that I learned lives like an hour from me.
I think I know where this is going. Go ahead. I think I know this one.
Did you talk to him already? Did he tell you about that?
Is his initials AB?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, well, you know what? This is why I always liked you, because that's one of my buddies. I think, yeah. I can I say the name on the air?
Go ahead.
Aaron Blaze, the headline, Aaron Blaze. What a small world. You live an hour away from Aaron Blaze. I had a feeling something was up. Yeah, I saw you guys were liking each other's posts on Instagram, and yes, I do speak to Aaron very, very frequently. It's so funny because people will say, "Oh, Aaron Blaze said this about that," but I'm like, no, I know Aaron Blaze. People, it's funny. What a small world. Yeah, I had a feeling about that. I had a feeling.
Yeah, so maybe sometime down the road, I will attend something he's got going. We'll see.
Have you ever run into him, by the way, before? You live an hour away from him. You ever seen him around in the neighborhood?
No. A long time ago, we were going to try to get him. Actually, there were two opportunities where I almost had a match with him. One time was during KWA, which I mentioned.
Yeah. I think he's mentioned that to me before, yeah.
There was another time where he almost came to DBW, I believe.
Yeah, I think he was telling me, because I think it was... I don't know if it was last year at some point. He went to XCW and he was thinking about it. There was a few other places. I think DBW was one of the places that came to mind. But he went to XCW instead. From his vantage point, I think he would rather have went to DBW instead, because I don't want to regurgitate the XCW thing, because I still have a lot of guys in the XCW locker room that listen to my show, and it's kind of a weird situation there. But yeah, Aaron Blaze, what a small world that you live in. Yeah, I had a feeling about that, actually. I saw when you guys were liking each other's posts and he was telling me about somebody. I was like, boy, I think it's who I know it is. And yeah, because he knew you were coming on. So yeah, what a small world. You and Aaron Blaze, the headline, Aaron Blaze, you and him in a ring sometime, that'd be a small world there. It's kind of like how small of a world Van Hansen and Chase Wakefield live like 20 minutes away from each other. That's like another...
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of us throughout Pennsylvania. A lot of us.
Pennsylvania's a big wrestling community. Pennsylvania's, a lot of guys, Andrew Lovelace lives near a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that just, live near each other. But yeah, Aaron Blaze, I would pay a lot of money to see you and Aaron Blaze wrestle a match. I would know, seriously. You and Aaron Blaze in a match, I would love to see that happen. The headline, Aaron Blaze and legendary Silas. Well, I think I could, you mind if I bring it up right now and say to the headline Aaron Blaze? I mean, if you're out there watching this, and I'll make sure I put this on Instagram and TikTok. I'm big on TikTok now.
Yeah, I would actually really. I've thought a lot about, especially after this last couple weeks, all this controversy, all of this talks of All Wrestling Matters, especially with guys on our end not branching out, and there's no ill will with that.
Yeah, I know that. You know what it is. I want
to be the first to extend that olive branch. I want to be the first one to hand that out and show everyone that we're not secluded.
No, I think, I really don't. First of all, I don't think so. And I have continued to say this, and I will continue to say, I have praised the DBW product from out. And, I just had the Stompers message me, the Prodigies talk to me all the time. I think, unfortunately, a few people, a few different things, but I think at the end of the day, Aaron Blaze and Silas Walker, that's a match. I think I would pay a lot of money to see that match. Silas Walker and Aaron Blaze. I don't care where the ring is. If that could happen, I don't think he lives far from DBW, Aaron Blaze. I don't think he lives that far from you guys. I think it's got to be a lot shorter than his XCW journey, because I talked to him when he was working in XCW. His XCW, it was almost like it was like planes, trains, and automobiles. That was his experience. It was literally, that was a long travel he had to go to XCW. That was way down the Greyhound rabbit hole. But yeah, I mean,
probably less than 3 hours from DBW.
For him, that's nothing. He wrestles in UWA in Tennessee. That's even farther than XCW. That route is like got to be like a day to get to UWA. I don't know. I mean, it got to be a day. I mean, but that would be interesting.
I've driven some crazy journeys. I think my craziest was I started where I currently live, and I drove 2 hours. No, I started in Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. So I started in Pittsburgh. And I drove nearly 4 hours to Shippensburg, right? To pick up Chase Wakefield. And then
what a surprise.
And then we drove nearly 3 hours to Wilkes-Barre to pick up a few other people. Zach Romig and who was the other? I forget.
I know Wilkes-Barre. The Phillies used to play there.
Yeah, I forget who the other guy we picked up. I think it was Jacob Yeager. And then we drove 3.5 more hours to Lake Katrine, New York for UWF.
Oh, wow. I don't like, wow.
And did everything. So I drove like 16 hours in less than 24 hours. That was just.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was a lot. But that was one of the best matches I've ever had. I think everyone had an awesome time. It wasn't Chase Wakefield. It wasn't Tyler Rossi. It was the Blaze. I think he was there.
Oh, wow. 16-hour drive. 16-hour drive. I remember my father was a driving instructor, and he would drive from Staten Island to Long Island. He would complain it was only like an hour and a half, and it was like you did 16 hours. It was like nothing. I remember my father going, oh, my God, I had to drive and get up. And, it was like 5:30 in the morning, and he'd have to come back home on a Sunday at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like, an hour.
Wrestling is driving.
I'm friends with a lot of British guys, and it's all those guys will drive like in many places an average of like 5 hours to go to their show. So it's like that's kind of like the thing. Yeah, it's an average of because they're in like these small towns, and a lot of them live in what's called like cul-de-sacs. So when they go wrestle, they're in like these like small towns, and like wrestling's different there than it is here, because like in those towns it's like that's the only thing they have. There's no like
there's a big event going on, let's go do this.
Yeah, they're so like when these companies they go out and wrestle, it's like they'll get their whole town to show up. So it's almost like if they don't show up, it's like they're kind of like
you're letting everyone down.
Yeah, and they're kind of like sort of celebrities. So like it's so it's like a big deal. So like they have to go and do it. They like have to do it. No, the joke is they'll get a hot dog and a handshake. Well, it's more like they'll get 20 pounds of hot dog and a handshake. Now you're really learning. Like you want to talk about controversy there? What I just told you is like what the average British wrestler makes when they go out and wrestle these, with the exception of a couple of guys that might draw like 30 or 40 tickets. But yeah, even Aaron Blaze, that's an interesting one. I tell you what, you and Aaron Blaze.
I'd say more than possible.
I'll tell you what, before I move on to closing thoughts, Aaron Blaze has wrestled some kind of questionable opponents in his career. And, obviously Jack Delta is not going to be one of them. A lot of the guys obviously know Jack Delta, but you and Aaron Blaze would be, I think, one of his better opponents he's had, right up there with Jack Delta. I'm trying to think of.
I appreciate that. No,
seriously. He's had. Well, that's been. I will tell you the one controversy on this platform that has been Aaron Blaze is where he's gone to, where the places he's gone to, and some of those places, the opponents he's had is I like Aaron, so this is not me saying it. This is even his opponent, Jack Delta, his soon-to-be opponent, has said they're kind of they're out there, but I would say you would be one of his. Better opponents. I would put it right up there with Jack Delta and Chris Jones. I would probably and Division Nick. He wrestled nobody talks about his match with Division Nick, but yeah, he wrestled Division Nick. For those that know in the backyard, he's a very big deal. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing here. Let me get to some comments here. Want to say hello to everybody who knows D-Lock. Obviously, yes, D-Lock, a man that Chase Wakefield got me connected with. How you doing? Good to see you. Brandon Costelli put the eyeballs out because, like, all of us were like, wow, he just mentioned Aaron Blick. When I heard you say you knew somebody, I was like, I knew exactly where this was going. Want to say hello to Mr. Jackson, so the World Extreme Champion, one of your fellow colleagues who's a champion here. Hope you guys are having a good night. Just left the local dirt race. My stepdad races, helping the family race team. Currently listening to the drive. And what a small world. That's pretty cool. Dirt race track. Wow. Well, I knew a guy that was actually, his son used to kind of small world there. Okay, so you know what? Thank you, Jackson, for tuning in, and congratulations on all this. Real quick, what do you want to say to everybody watching and listening to what we can expect going forward between now and Ultimate Collision?
You can expect a different person. This is not Graves anymore. I will not stand for being.
I actually changed your name and all the links now. I put it. We started recording.
If you address me as Graves, I'm going to do everything in my power to ignore you.
Good deal.
Do not call me Graves. I am Silas Walker. I am legendary Silas Walker, DBW Global Champion. If you can't tell, it's right here. Okay. So moving forward from here on out, the changes that you can expect: more animosity, doing everything it takes to make sure that I hold on to my championship, proving to the DBW universe and to the All Wrestling Matters community that I am one of the top dogs. And Chaos Conspiracy is right up there with me.
What does it mean to you now to be the DBW Global Champion?
You know, it means everything in the world to me. It really does. Winning that surpassed a lot of moments in my life. I was ecstatic when I won that. If you go back and look, I was so happy. That moment was the culmination of all my hard work in DBW. Over the 5 years that I've been there, that's what that moment took. I played by the books from day one. I played by the books and I did everything that I had to do. And when I finally got the opportunity, I took it. And now I'm one of the top guys, and everyone looks up to me. And I'm in that locker room, and I will do what it takes to be the best leader I can, because I am the global champion. I am Silas Walker, and everyone will respect me. And if they don't, they'll learn to.
Is Chaos Conspiracy now the premier faction in DBW?
I'd like to think. I definitely like to think. I'm going to tell Tex one more thing. I'm not going to bring up Tex anymore, all right?
Gotcha.
I was really protecting Tex too, now that I think back on it. Maybe it was an instinct. Maybe I'm just now realizing it. But what I was doing was protecting Tex from a really horrible fate. And that's holding something in his arms, right? Wanting something so bad, more than anything in the world, and holding it in his hands. And knowing deep down inside, in his heart of hearts, without a shadow of a doubt, that he will never deserve it. I'm protecting Big Tex from that. And I cannot let my brother feel that. And when he earns something and knows that he truly deserves it, that's when he'll get gold. And if he does the right thing and makes the right choice, it'll happen in no time.
Well, let me get to a couple more comments before I have one more question I want to ask you before we move on. Jackson wants to say that he gave Tex a warning. He now calls him Gullible Tex. That's an interesting line there. Maybe we change his name to Big Tex to Gullible Tex if he doesn't do what you'd like him to do coming up here on Thunder Punch. Brandon has a good story to share. I remember driving over 8 hours to the original DBW arena for us to kill each other and then drive back. You know, it's so funny when I hear guys talk about these drives. I just remember as a kid, like, we would drive 30 minutes to the other side of Brooklyn, and it was like, oh my God. It was like, but yet you guys do it like it's nothing, 8 hour, 9 hour drives. And the guys in the UK, they all, like I just told you, they go 5 hours minimum anytime they go out and wrestle, or 3 hours. And it's like, you know, they have to go to the shows in a lot of cases. Just such a fascinating thing. But I got one more.
Big trooper for that. I'm sorry. I wanted to give him props because he was
absolutely
a really good friend of mine. Back in the day,
I love Brandon. I love Brandon.
He lived in Rhode Island, which is pretty far north. That's more
yeah, I noticed that. Yep, I know Rhode Island. Sure.
Drive from Rhode Island to Shippensburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh my God, I know where that is. Yeah, go ahead.
And that's what he's referring to is an 8 hour drive. And now he doesn't have to drive nearly as far. He lives in Pennsylvania, so
I would hope. I mean, it'd be a lot to do every time. Hopefully, the gas costs are a little cheaper now because he's driving less. I would hope that's got to be, 8 hours
for him. We've made so many good relationships and friendships and all this
that's what it's about. You know what? And that's what that's what it's about to me. That's like like you even talking about Aaron Blaze. Aaron Blaze. Some people don't like him. I have known Aaron Blaze. I can tell you things about this young man that a lot of people would not know. And I've gotten a chance to know him. And I think that that's what it's about here, making friendships. And I think that's really what we're all about at the end of the day. And I think that those are examples. You're talking about the journey. Brandon has all these vlogs, and he shows the journey that he goes on, and he meets different people, and he goes to different places, and he takes his fiance there with him, and you get to see the ring set up, and you see like the people and who they are. And I think that that's, to me, what it's about. That's why everybody's on the team. Everybody's on the All Wrestling Matters, and I think that that's and there you go, and that's what you do to go out and do something you love, and that's what everybody does, is puts their blood, sweat, and tears into something. And Rhode Island, I mean, I know where Rhode Island is. That's like, people don't even blink and they're in there. Rhode Island and Delaware are very similar. Like, you don't know you're there, and then you're there, and it's like, oh, I missed it. It's like, that's kind of, the thing. But speaking of blood, sweat, and tears, I do want to ask you one more question, completely off the topic, but it's actually within the realms of your career. You're legendary now, right? Obviously, the DBW global champion. You're obviously a man now that is obviously back on top. You've obviously been a man now that has made a comeback story. You're obviously in 2024 ready to do bigger and better things. You're obviously now looking to be a guy that's going to be on top permanently, and you've got friends alongside you in Chaos Conspiracy. We'll see if it's big text rather than gullible text. But you know what? Come to think about it, you are legendary. Well, how would you like to be the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame next time you come on, and you can be further legendary? How about that? You can one-up Aaron Blaze.
Oh, yeah. You know what, Tom? I'd definitely be honored for that. We can plan an awesome time to do that here behind the scenes, and we'll get that taken care of soon. Hopefully.
How about next month?
Yeah,
we'll do it next month? Because that would be actually a lot of fun, because now that I know that you know Aaron Blaze, boy, I'm going to be able to stick it right into him. Now, I'm only kidding. No, you get mad about that, but that'd be good. Seriously, it's really. I think what, I was thinking about it anyway. You messaged me, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, what, I got a feeling this will be a good one. So I got a feeling that would be the answer I was looking for, and
I'll humbly accept it.
Well, Brandon's in the Hall of Fame. You took the title from Cyrus, so if you took the title from him, you have to be in the Hall of Fame alongside. If Chase Wakefield's in the Hall of Fame, you have to be in the Hall of Fame. If Chase Wakefield's in it, I mean, let's be honest. If Fletch and XCW kind of makes a joke about it sometimes, but actually, no, we're all good with the XCW guys right now at the moment. So I'm going to leave it at that. But that's what it's all about. No, listen, it is what it is. Listen, I'm flustered already. So obviously, you've said a lot tonight. You've done a lot. I want to now give you the floor now, champ. I want to give you some closing thoughts and anything else you'd like to plug, share, or say. I turn it over to you, and take it away.
I want to thank you for the platform, Tom. I think this was the perfect time to premiere my message that I had to tell everyone. Right after DBW Total Nomination 9, I am now the global champion, and I will be referred to as legendary Silas Walker. I will not accept anything else from anyone. Look forward in the future to a potential collaboration, working together, match, you never know, with Aaron Blaze.
I can't wait to put that clip on Instagram. I can't wait.
We'll figure that out in the future.
And according to Jack Delta, he loves social media. So when this goes out, this is Jack Delta. He was really speaking the truth, and he does love social media. He loves social media.
This little thing they got going on is pretty interesting. Well, I'll leave that for another time.
Yeah, leave it at that. Leave them alone with that. God knows I don't need to be further in the middle of that, but go ahead.
DBW is in for a rude awakening for the rest of the year. And like I said, change is here, chaos is here, and you cannot stop it. It's spreading through this whole community, and you will not be able to stop it.
Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? This was definitely a legendary episode of Sportswire Radio, and we definitely had a lot of fireworks here in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, because we had on a global champion, and how fitting that it is here. And he certainly had a lot of chaos. He spread it, but it seems to me as if Robert Pearson and Jacob Cassidy, they've definitely seen the light. But the big question will be going forward, as we look forward to Thursday Night Thunder Punch. Will Big Tex join to find a way for him to be able to finally win one, to finally be able to see the light, or will he really be gullible Tex and permanently be known as wrestling's version of the Buffalo Bills and wrestling's premier choke artist? Only time will tell. But until then, DBW on YouTube, Dominating Breakout Wrestling. Check him out on Facebook. You can check him out on Facebook for more details on when Thunder Punch will air, also Ultimate Collision. And if you want to follow Silas Walker, it's Silas Walker. No other name will be acknowledged. Check him out on Instagram, X, and YouTube. He's almost at 800 subscribers. Go get him over the finish line. I gave him 3 subs, 2 today, because I got 2 other YouTube pages. And if you're out there, go hit the sub button for him. And I can assure you, you'll definitely be joining in what this man is about to do. Cyrus might have attempted to write more chapters in the Book of Cyrus, but this one, I can promise you, with Silas Walker, is going to be a legendary book with endless amounts of chapters. My friend, congratulations on all the success. I'm looking forward to seeing you here very soon. I'm looking forward to having you back here next month for a ceremony. It'll be rather legendary. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about the fallout of what happened with Big Tex, and we'll even see if Aaron Blaze will actually really be a headline, and we'll maybe accept some of the things you said, because something tells me here that you guys might run into each other in a grocery store, but that's a different conversation for a different time. But thank you. This was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon, and congratulations on winning the DBW Global Championship.
Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate it. You take it easy. Everyone else take it
easy. I'm going to try.
I'm going to stress out.
Well, okay. Well, we'll have to find out and more. This was Silas Walker, the legendary Silas Walker. He's the brand new DBW Global Champion. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. And we were here with Mr. Silas Walker. If you're on Sportswire Radio today, you're going back to your working schedule programming. I'll be here tomorrow starting at 6 o'clock Eastern Time with Napalm from Legendary Backyard Wrestling in North Dakota. That's right, North Dakota. They wrestle in North Dakota, and he's going to tell us about it. He's going to talk about his upcoming match potentially with White Viper, and I'm going to have on the Wicked One Judas at 10 o'clock Eastern Time from the Promo Wrestling Federation, which is a 2K league. So yes, it's 2K. He's going to talk about it. I actually run the company, though. I run it figuratively, but not really literally. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio.